It's Daniel from UK Football Reviews, and I have a really interesting comparison between the most recent Superflys, going from the Superfly 3s to the Superfly 5s. Now, of course, Superfly is the highest quality boot within the Mercurial range, and is probably one of the most iconic in history in terms of what they bring to the football game. And what you're going to find is they provide the most exotic materials for the most expensive prices. Retail of these generally go 240 above. I believe the 3s were the most expensive and featured technology that hasn't been seen before. Now, what it did feature was the fly knit wire going through the upper, and also was integrated into the holes for the laces, very much like the Hybrid 3 of today. And also featured the carbon fibre sole plate, very iconic to the Superfly line, as well as a variable stud depth for soft ground and hard ground, which is not seen on any other models, and holes in the stud pattern, well, the studs themselves, which was very unique to the line and was first featured on the Superflys. It also featured the Mercurial branding throughout the boot, but did not feature all conditions control, the last boot to not have all conditions control. Then going on to the Superfly 4, what you're going to find is the carbon fibre sole plate remained, but a different stud pattern, probably more aggressive due to the fact that it had the studs angling up on the outside of the boot, so it gave you that little bit more support on the side when changing direction, and featured the fly knit upper, which came in during 2013 for the Magister Operas, a very revolutionary aspect of the boot due to the fact that we're competing with Adidas with the prime knit upper. And then very similarly to the 4s, the 5s had also a fly knit upper, but featured a plastic sole plate, which is disappointing because it was probably the greatest aspect of the Superfly range. But of course, if Nike think it's a beneficial feature to have, then you can't blame the experts for not having that. In fact, the Hybrid 3s were tested with the carbon fibre sole plate, but eventually were left with the plastic one, as you can see in my videos beforehand. And in terms of the legacy that they've left, they leave a legacy purely because of the players that have worn them. I know Ronaldo famously put the boots in hot water in order for them to soften up a little bit, and was not recommended by any of the Nike personnel. And I know that for a fact because they in fact experimented with the hot water trick, and it's a shame that they didn't bring it to mass production, because it is possible. And what they used to do is steam the boot so that it would get hot, and eventually you would put it on and cool down to your foot size, which is a really interesting aspect. But overall, I say the Superfly 3 is probably my favourite out of all of them, just because it is probably the most iconic, and it's more than likely the best looking. I'm not a big fan of the dynamic fit collar and the placebo effect that it provides, because it doesn't necessarily make you a better player and does not necessarily improve the performance of the boot. I know other football reviewers have said that, and I can't stress that enough. It's about the performance of you. However, you can't take away the beauty of these boots and what they have really put into in terms of the development over the years, and try to make the Superfly range as exotic and as probably as professional as possible. And what you can say is at least they've tried to bring out this market for the more expensive football boots and people willing to pay for these more expensive football boots. And in terms of which one I would buy, it would have to be the Superfly 3s. And on that note, I might as well end the video there. If you could like, that'd be greatly appreciated, and if you want more content like this, please subscribe. Alright, take care guys.